I'm going to show you how to do a couple dinosaurs. The best thing to do for dinosaurs is to get the little plastic toys or go to Michael's, buy a tube of 50 different dinosaurs. But I'm going to do a Tyrannosaurus, or a Triceratops, excuse me. So from the right side, the back leg is forward, the front leg is backwards. And then on the left side, the back leg is way back and the forward leg is way forward. So the whole thing on that is I'm going to do the body, I'm going to do the four legs, I'm going to establish it so that it's freestanding. I'm going to punty the bottom and burn off whatever is the punty on the top of the face. And then there won't be a face, there'll be like shoulders. And then I'm going to do a big disc and I'm going to weld that disc flat on and then pull it up, and that will be this cowl. And then I'll build in the head area and then the snout and the little beak and then the Triceratops, the three little spots. The first thing I'm going to do is get a nice gather here. I'm going to condense probably about 4 or 5 inches of this half-inch rod to get the glass that will become the body of the Triceratops. I'm going to try and shape this so that it has a hump on one side, and that will be the top of the Triceratops. I'm mostly letting the heat go back and forth there. So if you look at it this way, that's what I'm looking at it right down here. So now I have what will be the body of this Triceratops. And this is actually going to be a very simple version. The pieces in front of me here are, run into an hour or two, and I want to keep this more easy just so that we'll be able to get more done. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to a smaller flame. As I'm looking at it from this way, I'm going to do the back left. I'm going to do the back left leg right here. But I'm going to do it, you know, from my angle here. So as long as I'm happy with the proportion, you can take it all the way off if you want. Yeah. And before I go and do this, if I want, on all the places where there is going to be the leg muscle come out of it, I'm going to just gather a glass that will be pretty much like the hip area, but I'm going to weld that in cleanly. So those are the 4 areas where the legs are going to come out of it. So now I'm going to do the back left leg. Going to do a little flat and sideways, sideways. A nice clean weld. I'm going to carry this to the rear a little bit, let that stiffen up a bit, and then carry it down. And the foot of this is going to be forward, so I'm going to heat the very bottom of that and just wipe it against the propane, and it pushed it a little that way. So now I'm going to do the front left leg. And again, going to heat up more than I gathered than I need. I go to second stage red here. I'm letting the heat transfer back and forth very nicely. A little too big right there. And again, I'm going to do this thing where I'm just going to push back. And that's pretty much all that is needed right now for something that's going to be of this size. It's not going to be a perfect representation of a Triceratops. It's going to be very good, but you can get caught up in detail that just wastes tons and tons of time. I'm going to turn this around now. So now I'm going to look at this for doing the 2 on the right side. And I've already put this gather of glass that'll become its right hip area. And this leg goes forward a little bit, flatten, flatten, flatten. Second stage red, second stage red. Let that weld real cleanly before I even try and give it direction. Now I'm going to do the front right leg. Nice second stage red, second stage red. And sometimes it'll take you longer to make a piece true to the ground than it is to create what you're working on. So that I touch the two front legs down, and when I go to have the back legs hit, they don't hit at the same time. So I'm going to heat up the foot of each of the back ones, and now when I touch it down, that gives me where it's all flush. So now I'm going to heat the tail to lower it into place. So I have a 8mm rod with a 10mm ball on the end of it. And that's just the cold seal. So I bump this at any point, it falls in your lap. It always falls in your lap. So I want to remove glass so that this looks like that. So I'm going to remove this so that when I come in with a big flat gather, I can weld it directly on to the front of this, and it will look like that cowl that the face comes out of. And again, you're going to have one shot to do that. And it's backwards at about a 20-30 degree angle. So that's kind of prepped where I can get this guy there. So this goes into the oven. And I normally keep my oven, annealing's at 1055 Fahrenheit, but I normally run my oven around 1100. I'm going to heat up a nice ball on the end of this 1/2-inch rod. I want it nice and thick, and then I'm going to flatten it. There's a variety of ways of doing the cowl. Sometimes I put individual spikes on it. Sometimes I just leave it as the flat cowl. I use a simple marble mold and get the ball just to flatten it in. I also use a marble mold for most of my mammals, like a horse, an elephant, a gazelle, any four-legged mammal, to do its butt. Heat up a guy to do its butt, do a spine or a crotch line on it, and then start from there. Then now I want to look at this and just see if this is about the size of glass I need to squish to do that. A little bit more maybe, but I can always take more off. It's much better than adding more. And usually when I do these, they're either spot on, it looks great, or they're one tiny bit spot off, and they just suck. And you never know. You got to do enough of them that are bad to do them that are good. And what you want to do is get this ripping stage 2 really good and hot. If you heat it up so much it goes to stage 3, it will actually burn the glass and it'll get bubbles in it. And the bubbles are from superheated glass that has trapped air in it. And it'll have a different coefficient of expansion. So you just try not to do that. And right now, yeah, I'm going down to the table to weld that in, and then again here. Usually in a demo or something like this, you normally don't hit it real cleanly and good first shot. Now I'm going to use this same rod of 1/2 inch. I'm actually going to flatten it sideways a couple places, almost like the end of a brick, because the face of this Triceratops is going to have a look about it that is flattened on either side. So I'm going to try and get in here and do that. And again, the second stage red, the second stage red. There's so many things that you have better control if you do it upside down. Now you've got a little eye kind of midway between the nose and the cowl. I'm using my candy leather tool to put the eye in. I'm going to try and pull a little bit of detail up around the cowl on the top and coming down on the sides, just to add a little bit more. I keep heating that body. Don't even think about having to go down and heat the tail or the legs. The body will send heat into the leg area. So I'm just heating sections of the cowl and then kind of tapering it back. So I'm doing one on the right. I'm doing one on looking at it from the back side, and then looking at it from the front is where I'm doing the matching one across from it. And you're going to want to put 3 dots where you're going to have the horns come. There's one horn that's kind of above the eyes. And the other 2 are kind of behind it. But you want to do the little dots to give you a clue as to where that should be. So the first of the Triceratops horns is going to be this low one. The second 2 are longer, come from higher up. The last one you do, I'm doing the one on the right as I look at it. That way I can compare it to the one I just did. And that's the simple Triceratops. Knock the punty off, fire polish it. And that's the Triceratops. I'm going to show you how to do a Brontosaurus. And again, it's plastic toys. That's pretty much the whole bit. And some of them are a lot more difficult than others, but basically you're just going to, look at it and get a little idea of the proportion. I mean, in theory, if you wanted to duplicate it in that size, you can't get better than just, going right up to it part for part. And you can easily do that. I'm going to do this a little bit bigger than that. Got a 1/2-inch rod of clear boro. For some reason, the Dinosaurs, they look better. And when I weld in clear, spotless, I mean, you can't see the welds. I've been doing this for 50 years, and I'm more of a technical welder than I am a sculptor or an artist. I can do the techniques better than I can make them look good. So what I'm going to be doing here is, again, the body is going to start off with pretty much like I did the Triceratops. And I usually start with whatever's the punty rod, holding on to the majority large rod. Here is where I'm going to work it, figuring that my head is going to come out of this end. So if that neck is going to come out of this end, I kind of want to start my body into here so that this is still ready, so that I condense this up into the body. I go vertical with the rod here, so I have this big L, and here's the body, there's the tail. I do the forelegs, I punty, and then this section is left for me to do the head. But I'm going to heat up at the weld and then move to the right. Everything you do with glass, it remembers. It can be really bitchy if it wants to, and it's just waiting for you to make that mistake. Okay, so I've got enough glass there that will easily be what I need for my neck. So I'm just gathering up enough glass that will appear to be the body. A lot of what I do is almost magic. You're not trying to recreate in glass exactly what you see in nature or in a plastic toy. That's pretty much asking way beyond the norm. But if you could give the illusion of, that's kind of what I do. I want to give it where it looks pretty close to it. I actually like the look on this right side with that body. So now I'm not going to do the final pull to where it looks like the brontosaurus neck. I'm going to mostly redirect because this is going vertical a little further away than really where it wants to be. But this will give me room to do my job. Now I'm looking at this from the left side, and there's a large area that's the upper hip on both the left and the right rear. And so I'm going to do that first, and then wipe that leg from that area across the lower section of the body. But you want to do that to give the impression down here of what that little gather looks like. And I'm going to pull the leg out of that. So I'm going to do that on both sides. A little bit of a flatten. I'm going to superheat this area here right under that little blob that I put in, because I don't want there to be a line that is not melted in. So that's really nice and liquid. I'm going to let that sit for a second. I'm pulling it down a little, pulling it to the rear a little. It's all about proportion. And don't even try and go in and make it like the world's most perfect dinosaur foot. Just give the illusion that there's a foot. He's happy to have it. The meteor's coming tomorrow and he's going to get all burned up anyway. So now on the one in front of him, again, I'm going to do this upper front. And again, I'm going to put a little gather glass kind of midway through the body. And that leg, if I'm following this piece here, goes to the rear. So I'm going to put a little gather of glass right up here, right there. A little bit of a flatten. Get everything superheated very nicely. And this is actually going to look better because it actually has a kind of an acute angle. Not really 90 degrees or so. But this is going to look better if I do the front leg in two sections. A little bit of a flatten. Second stage red big time. Second stage, let it sit. Let the heat go back and forth, left, right, left, right. And then, but this will give a nice crisp elbow. So that's what I'm shooting for. Okay, so now I'm going to do the right back leg. If you start to do dinosaurs, the easiest one for you to do is the Brontosaurus. And the harder ones are, Stegosaurus, Velociraptors, things like that. Okay, so now I'm going to superheat this. This back left leg is going to move forward. I'm going to do a deliberate heat up in here. Don't worry about heating the tail deliberately or the legs. I'm going to put a little section of glass up here. It'll give the illusion that there's some shoulder muscle. Big time red. Now that all four of those feet are happy, now I'm going to heat the entire tail and then kind of move it into place. And just to make sure everything's happy, I'm going to touch the two front feet and then bring it down and feel it hit perfectly. I'm going to heat this until I get a little ball rounded over on the end of it. Cold seal on the belly. And now you can see why I left that section of glass there, because I can continue with the linear action the way the rod was. The glass will remember it. It was all one section. It likes that. If I took this neck piece off and then put another section on, the glass will know. And it will give that as a reason for why it's not happy with it. Just keep the glass happy. Now a little quick movement here. That was to add more glass to the area behind his neck directly, where it's a more smooth transition. A little circular burn off. Let it go down. So I had the little circular head, and then I just went and added like the snout face of it, but it's way small. You don't want it to look like any Barney dinosaur. When I pushed this eye in, I pushed it in and a little bit up, and I actually pushed and made a ridge brow. And that's pretty much your Brontosaurus. Fire polish the punty. There you go. And that's another dinosaur.